Time for the news review segment. Well, we're moving on, and a number of issues have made it into the news cycle this morning. We're going to be touching on them, but let me begin with the matter of the OSP and the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. And let me bring you some stories. Of course, the latest is that Mr. Ofori-Atta is unable to make an in-person appearance at the office of the OSP. We are waiting to hear what the response of the OSP will be to this particular matter. So I'll bring you a story from ChannelOneNews.com that says, Ofori-Atta to miss June 2 appearance before OSP. The story is by Jonathan Ajay, and I read, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will miss his scheduled appearance before the Special Prosecutor on June 2 due to a sudden turn in his health, according to sources close to him. His legal team has formally notified both the OSP and the Human Rights Court, submitting medical documentation detailing his current condition and upcoming surgical procedures. The development comes amid widespread speculation that Special Prosecutor Kisie Jabeng may reissue a wanted notice for Mr. Ofori-Atta if he fails to honor the scheduled appearance, although a previous statement by the OSP hinted at such a move. Its current posture remains unclear. Mr. Ofori-Atta is currently challenging his earlier designation as a wanted person in the Human Rights Court. The court is expected to rule on the matter on June 18, 2025. Meanwhile, sources indicate that Mr. Ofori-Atta has proposed a virtual engagement with the OSP in accordance with the Electronic Transactions Act. This will allow the OSP to obtain a caution statement remotely while he continues medical treatment. So that's the update regarding the matter of the OSP versus Ken Ofori-Atta. Mr. Ofori-Atta has communicated his inability to appear in person and to attend upon the invitation of the OSP. We'll be looking into that matter pretty shortly, as well as a number of other stories here on the show. We're also looking forward to what the OSP's response will be to this latest communication by the former finance minister, because the OSP had said or made it clear that should the former finance minister, I beg your pardon, fail to appear in person, an Interpol red notice will be issued against him. Right, let me say good morning to the gentleman in studio, Ibrahim Ajay, a former assistant secretary at the office of the former president. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Nana.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Elvis Dako is the editor of the News Center newspaper, newscenter.com. Good morning, Elvis.
Good morning.
I hope your weekend was good.
It's not that bad.
Very well, very well.
Once we are alive.
Well, we're getting into our issues, but talk about being alive. Quite an unfortunate one. We've lost a stalwart of the NDC. A regular on this show, Joseph Adikoka, former Greater Accra Regional Chairman. Briefly, I'll give you gentlemen an opportunity to touch on his demise and how you received the news, and of course what you make of the person Joseph Adikoka.
Firstly, my sincere condolences to his family and loved ones, and to the NDC party as a whole, and within Ghana politics as a whole. Yeah. Those who recall the program, when it was on this program, I think 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And the exchange between me and him, I said, Naleche, which in Ghana means I've seen you for a long time. I've been on programs with him 20 plus years. And I mentioned on the program, you know, how he does his politics in such a civil way. He stands his ground, he's principled, as most of us are, and he will debate on the issues. And when the cameras are off, we're brothers. Yeah. And I'm sure my experience with him is the same for many people across the political divide. Yeah. So I saw the news yesterday, and you know, oftentimes you get these fake news reports, but I saw that was coming from City News and ChannelOne, so I knew it was factual. Yeah. And I quickly called your producer, OJ, Richard Mensah, just to understand, because I knew it was real, but you wanted that confirmation. Exactly. Yeah. You know, when you're dreaming, you want to know, am I awake? Yeah. That type of thing. And he said, oh, Charlie, Anokwale, it's true. I said, what? I won't belabor the point, but Only that we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, will receive him well. He's a good spirit, he's a good man. And I said that when he was living, how much more now that he's no more. And we pray that God will have mercy upon him, as all of us. And the good that he's done will live after him. And any shortcomings, we pray for forgiveness, as we all are. Nobody's infallible. But he's a brilliant man. Again, sometimes you wish when the cameras are off, viewers can see the interactions that we politicians have with each other. I've known him over 20 years, across different platforms like this. So, Ade Yawajuba, Yawajuba, sleep well.
Sure. Elvis, Adekuka.
When I saw the news, actually Saturday I traveled, so I didn't have time to look on my phone. So I got back late night Saturday. So when I woke up in the morning and I was there to check what's on the news, then I saw her there. I was like, oh, that was with him here just 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And to be frank with you, looking at physical appearance, I didn't see that he was not well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, but the last time I saw him, he doesn't look like somebody who was ill. So I was taken aback by his death. And I think that my condolences to the family, the bereaved family. I think I'm a journalist. If you mention Adekoka, Olympics come to my mind first before politics.
Yeah.
Because I have known him to be more associated with
Football.
Olympics and football than politics.
Yeah.
And for me, I think it's one of the finest brains in football administration in this country.
I think at the point he founded his own team.
Oh, okay.
Olympiacos.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the Olympics family will take it when, especially at this time, Olympics is not even part of the Premier League. These are people he's somebody who dedicated his entire life to make sure that the team Olympics continues to exist. Controversies here and there, but you can't take it away from him. If you listen to Ade talk about football, you will love him for that than politics. He has a firm grip of football than politics.
One-time GFA vice president.
And I think that if you are a lover of football in Ghana, you should know that we've lost somebody who, when the issues of football comes up and you listen to him speak on what needs to be done or what has not been done, you'll be clear in your mind that this man really is someone who understands the game. And I think that the football community need to come together and give him a befitting burial, mourn him. They shouldn't leave him only to the politicians. I think that the football community should own him more than the politics, because his contribution to football in this country has been very, 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 very big. And I only hope that we can have more people like him come up and trying to resurrect Olympics to honor him. Because for me, Olympics is a team that when all the odds are against them, it's when they beat Haas and Kotoko. And then it changes the narratives in the entire league landscape. And for that week, it will be about Oli, how was Oli able to beat Haas, or how was Oli able to beat Kotoko. When it looks like that at that moment, they are actually not performing. But for whatever reason, if they meet Haas and Kotoko, they find ways of trying to upset them. And that has given them a unique position in Ghana football. And I don't know what team is doing that now. That's why I wish that the Olympic family will do something. People will rise up and say, let's bring this thing back and give glory. So that's what I'll say about Adekoka. I remind more for football than in politics. Yeah.
Very well. Right, let's get into our business for the day. We're starting with the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the former Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Mr. Ofori-Atta has communicated that he will miss the scheduled appearance before the Special Prosecutor on June 2 due to a sudden turn in his health. That is according to sources close to him. His legal team has formally notified both the OSP and the Human Rights Court, submitting medical documentation detailing his current condition and upcoming surgical procedures. The OSP had earlier communicated that if Mr. Ofori-Atta fails to appear in person, then he will be liable for a red notice being issued against him, an Interpol red notice. Ibrahim, I'll start with you. Could this, all this going on between the OSP and Mr. Ofori-Atta be done in a different manner to take away all this public spectacle if we're doing, we are really actually doing accountability and not the perceived persecution that it appears to be, as many are complaining of?
Yes, once again, a good morning to you, Nana, and our viewers and listeners. I want to answer the question this way. The OSP, per the act that brought it into being in 2017, is an independent body.
Right.
And given that independence, when we start to question how and the manner in which it goes about it, it somehow dilutes that independence.
Right.
We want, or not that we want, but we have given the OSP, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, powers to investigate any acts, alleged acts of corruption by public officers, politically exposed persons, and private sector persons who may be involved within the public space. And for the sake of transparency, the OSP may wish, not wish, but would want to demonstrate that there's no fear or favor. And if there is any person of interest, that information will come out into the public purview. Sometimes it's always good to stand in the position of the other person, and then you get a better understanding of the manner and way in which they are going about their business. Can they do it better? Well, better is an emotive word. Can they do it differently? The answer is yes. But then when you, differently how? In terms of what? A more private, nuanced, there's an allegation here, and we want to invite you to assist our investigation and answer certain questions that have come up regarding SML, which was a petroleum issue. Then you have the termination of the ECG contract. Then you have the National Cathedral.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that I'm sure I'll remember it shortly. So these issues come and answer these questions, or help us with allegations of financial malfeasance, misappropriation of funds, and the other one's the Ghana Ambulance, or Auto, the company called Auto Limited, the procurement of Ghana Ambulance to a company, and the procedures by which that contract was given out. So we have the details of the alleged charges, or the areas in which they want Ken Ofori-Atta to come and assist them with their investigation. Whether you do it publicly or privately is for the beneficiary, if I can put it that way, of the request for investigation to determine. Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta has said that at no point has he said he won't come. His address, where he is, the medical treatment he's currently receiving, is well known to the OSP. His lawyers have indicated that if there's any issue, they can, again, forward whatever information they need. It's for the OSP to somehow accommodate his particular medical condition. And so, okay, and we understand. And nobody can say it's a last-minute plea. We also, over 3 years ago, thereabouts, when Ken Ofori-Atta was seriously ill, he was then Minister of Finance. He had to be flown to US, and we saw that the treatment that he had, I think it was liver, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you saw that his body changed.
Some physical changes.
His face bloated because of the medication he was having. So nobody can accuse him of last minute, I'm not well, so I can't attend. His medical situation predates this request for him to...
The OSP should be in a position to verify the claims, the sudden turn to...
Oh yes, oh, sure. And Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers have made known that, you know, any medical information you need, we will avail to you accordingly. So it's really at the discretion of the OSP to say that, given your particular circumstances, these are evidences that we need, issues that we want you to answer. And you can do it. I mean, when COVID struck, The whole world was communicating online.
Yeah.
Zoom meetings, Google Meet, am I right? We were all digitally, that was our workspace. Courts were being done, I'm talking courts, people going to court where necessary, maybe not in this country, but other areas, you know, lawyers. I mean, the whole world was
virtual sessions.
Virtual sessions, thank you, Nana Tufo. And there's nothing to prevent the OSP from giving that opportunity. You want a result. At the end of the day, OSP, you've received a petition or something that's come to your attention. In the name and interest of Ghana, you want to resolve those allegations. By what? Inquiry and investigation. And so if a person of interest, critical to that investigation, cannot avail themselves in person, but has said that I will answer these questions, why not? And that's for the OSP to allow. Again, it's at their discretion.
Yeah.
And then somebody will say, oh, but then you're showing favoritism. I don't believe that would be showing favoritism. You want an outcome. Does the person need to be physically there? That's a question that the OSP has to answer. Would their physical presence in any way, shape or form add value or detract from what you want? I have an information and there are some gaps that I need filled. Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, please answer these questions. And you can do it live via Zoom. Again, if he's well enough to communicate, the travel issue, his medical condition lends itself as to why he cannot travel. Thankfully, the vice president is back in Ghana. Alhamdulillah, she's well. But for she was been away for some months. So that tells you that travel can affect your health. Otherwise, once Her Excellency was treated, why couldn't she come back straight away? You need that time to recuperate. And I think you have to understand that it's not the unwillingness to travel, but its medical implications on you traveling is what is preventing Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. That's why I cited Her Excellency, the Vice President, her delay from coming to Ghana following her treatment. So again, I'll leave my submission as the OSP to accommodate the reasons that I have adduced in my submission.
Very well. Elvis, there are about 5 key issues under investigation. Petroleum and Minerals Revenue Assurance, that's the contract with SML. The ECG contract termination, National Cathedral, ambulance procurement, and GRE tax, P-fund management. These issues have been going on since January. The OSP has been, if I can put it that way, looking for Mr. Ofori-Atta since January. Will it take the physical presence of Mr. Ofori-Atta for the investigations to continue? Or the OSP can employ some of these other avenues, as Mr. Ofori-Atta is requesting a virtual session to proceed?
Well, the OSP has a law. It empowers it to operate in a certain manner. If what is doing one of the ways, and now that it's no longer less than a month notice, but more than 6 months of notice, I cannot answer whether really the OSP, the man is needed. Because I have not had the opportunity to see documentation of what is being leveled against him. Because you see, the man says he's not well. He's seeking medical treatment. The person has to be alive to answer questions, right? So if he's treating himself, then it means he wants to be alive before even you ask any question you can ask. As to whether his physical presence is needed, is the question everybody is asking, and it's the question I'll also be asking. The reason being that, see, all these things you have mentioned, there are state institutions that handled all these things, okay? From SML to GRPM and everything, it's GRA. The finance minister is just a supervisory authority, okay? So if you need any information or documentation about everything about that, I don't see how the absence of the finance minister will prevent you from getting the needed information about these deals from the statutory public institutions that actually gave these contracts out to the various companies. So if you ask me, I am of the view that until I see something that warrants that, unless Ofori-Atta is here, it can't be answered, I will say that, in my opinion, whatever information that will be needed to establish wrongdoing or not in this case is not in Ofori-Atta's bedroom. Any documentation about all these issues are with the various state institutions involved in these deals. So if you can get the information from the various state institutions involved in this deal, then why not go to court with what you have? Because any question about SML people are there. The GRP firm account, the GRA as an institution is there. All the things you have made, their institutions, there are people you can question. There are people who work on the deals before it will be signed, before the finance will give approval. There are people who actually work on these things before minister will give authorization and let it go through. All those people, I'm sure, are still at post in various institutions. So get whatever you want. You've given them an opportunity that I think something untoward has happened. Come over, give me the information, and if you give me information contrary, then I know that there's nothing untoward. If you give me information that could not defend it, then I know what to do. You said the man is not coming. The man has, through his lawyers, have written to any information you want. Just send the information to my lawyers who provide the necessary answers. To me, at this point, I think that any information that the OSP thinks it wants, it should document it and send it to Ofori-Atta and his lawyers. If the responses come and the OSP is convinced that the responses are not good enough to absolve him, Ofori-Atta, from wrongdoing, he should proceed to court. I'm sure that when they get to the court and you present all your documents to the judge and Ofori-Atta responds, and the judge looks at the facts available, if Ofori-Atta is guilty, the judge will convict him. If Ofori-Atta is not guilty, the judge will clear him. People have been tried and convicted in absentia everywhere in the world. So I don't know what specifically is the reason the OSP is saying that without Mr. Ofori-Atta appearing physically, he cannot gather his evidence and go to court. That place beats my mind a little. Because if you really have the evidence that is needed, you will go to court. A case example, Madam Sednam Temoklu. Was she not convicted in absentia? Was she not out of the jurisdiction for so many months, almost over a year before the judge actually declared, delivered his judgment? Was her absence in the country, did it prevent the judge from delivering a judgment on the case? Was she not represented by her lawyers in court? So I am finding it a bit difficult to understand the particular reason why at all cost Mr. Ofori-Atta has to be present. Unless maybe somebody wants me to believe that when Ofori-Atta comes, we are going to use crude method of torture to get information out of him. Because by law, Ofori-Atta can come and sit at OSP's office, and every question asked, he said he will not answer. By law, he is at liberty to say he won't answer any of your questions. And that if you have any case, take me to court. By law, that is his right to say whatever question you are asking me, I will not answer. Are you going to torture the answer out of him? The law gives him that right. So if he can appear in your office and says, me, I have come. You said I have come. I should come. I have come. But anything you ask me, I will answer. If you have anything, still my lawyers will answer. Will that stop OST from doing his investigation? So you see, for me, I believe strongly that all the things they are talking about are also things that have been covered by extensive documentations. Okay? So the OSP should just review the documents. If he finds certain things that should not have happened, that have happened, list and write and ask for the specific answers you are looking for from the man, and send it to him through his lawyers as he has requested. If the answers come and you are not satisfied, go to court. If the answers do not come, go to court, because that's why the court is there. Because if Ofori-Atta comes and appears before you after that, you are not going to convict him in your office. You will still have to go to court and make your case for a judge to make a pronouncement. Just last week, the case against the nominated MC who said people took his money. Jabbing. The High Court has ruled in favor of the guy. OSP has lost the case. Look at all the discussions about it as if the man was even guilty before court. But here we are, the court says, no, OSP, you have not presented enough convincing information to convict the man is a free man. So I believe that investigations should be done and done in a manner that you can go to court and secure your conviction. In the Bank of Ghana versus the shifting switch deal, all the state institutions in Ghana did all the everything. If there's no, they can't find anything wrong. So Ghana was bound to pay $1.2 billion judgment there because that's the worth of the contract. The international lawyers Ghana has hired in London looked at the contract. They say, if you can't find anything fraudulent about this, there's no way you are going to win this case in arbitration. And he said, your internal investigations, they have not found anything untoward. So the lawyers said they will come to Ghana and spend 2 weeks in Ghana. And they came. When they came, they didn't talk to anybody. They told the Bank of Ghana that everybody that has played a role on that contract, they should just give them their email addresses and their any footprint of them online. It was through technology, not inviting the person for any talk to technology, that they discovered that the lead person on the project was receiving payments from shifting switch.
Right.
And they said, yes, you will give any argument, but in the national court, this is conflict of interest. Exactly. You cannot say that you are providing service to a project you are supervising. And that was the evidence Ghana took to the international arbitration to win the case against shifting switch. They didn't talk to anybody. The world is moved from those Takashi way of doing things. There are several ways to get traces of information. The digital world, your traces can never be lost. So I believe that the things that have been listed there, the things that have been listed there, that those are the reasons why we are doing investigations. I believe that the OSP, if he sits down and really want to do his job and do it and think that there's something untoward, can find any information he's looking for without talking to Mr. Ofori-Atta. And let Ofori-Atta come and answer it in court. If you go to court and the court says, well, we need Ofori-Atta's presence, let the court issue that. But if OSP is making statements, sometimes it looks as if the OSP does not have evidence and is now trying to fish for evidence. That is how it is, because for now, you've not really given, if you say SMLD, what about the SMLD? If you say VAT refund account, what about it? All the things you have mentioned, the public has no access to any detail of what specifically has gone wrong with it. SML, we know there was an investigation. And the report says, yes, they've done some work. The work they have done has increased revenue by a certain percentage, but they can't take credit for every, the total increase. A credible accounting firm has done their work and report is there as to what SML's contribution. If that report is there, if there are other, the report also mentions certain things they believe that were not done. If that's what we are going to, let the public know. But here's the case, we are in darkness. All we hear is that if we don't come, we are going to do this and do that. It makes the public look at the OSP in a different way. And I think that office has suffered reputational damage for a long time. Created for over 8 years now. It's only recently they've won a case against some payroll fraud in the north. Aside that, the OSP in 8 years has not won any meaningful case. All the cases they've chased, they also are not. And if you know the amount of money we have sunk the OSP, if you look at the conviction that the police CID and other institutions have actually achieved within that 8 years in courts, if you compare to the OSP, you are tempted to say then the OSP is irrelevant. Because the outcome of what they are doing is not good. It's not showing the public that something is good. Then Ofori-Atta, I think his lawyers and everything look at the reputational damage also to him. And this is an investment banker who owns assets in this country, including the most credible investment bank in Ghana. So I think that they should also look at the man's legacy and find out, is there a way that they can minimize the, because the OSP did this in January, then back and forth, he say, oh, give the man after 3 months, where the doctors will now tell us, and then maybe, and then the OSP is okay, after all the public criticism, so I've given you the time to June. So if today the man is still not here, and then the OSP saying that I'm going to put the red alert back. It creates the impression that the OSP's initial assessment that Ofori-Atta might be running away from justice could have some merit.
Well.
And that has a serious reputation, credibility issues for Mr. Ofori-Atta, his legacy, his family, his business. So I think that the lawyers, they have made their proposal that online. If the OSP says no, and they need to be able to, and you see, right now, it took the OSP to say that by today, the Ofori-Atta would be on red alert. Yeah. Before you see some information somewhere that some sources are saying that his lawyers have said. What prevented his lawyers when they knew that the date was coming closer? What prevented them from being the first to come out to say, yes, we had said this to the OSP. Rather than a month to the event, this is the advice of doctors, so the man will not be able to show up. See, the first come effect in communication is very important. If the lawyers were the ones to come out early to say that, yes, we had this agreement with the OSP, but at this point, new medical advice indicates that he may not be able to come. Then you have already taken the lead. Then it doesn't create the impression that you're running away from justice. But then when the OSP is the first to come out to say that if you don't appear today, you will be declared as running from, then you are now reacting to it. Right. That impression that seems to be created that the man is running from justice, the inactions of the lawyers and Ofori-Atta and the people themselves is creating a problem. And I think that at this point, the Ofori-Atta and his legacy and everything, his family should know that this is no longer just a legal issue. They need to hire somebody who understands the effects and the impact of communication, so that the person will be handling and helping them with communication about this case. Right. Because for me, it was unfortunate that they waited till the OSP still put another, said they is reintroducing the red alert before they are communicating. If I were the one advising them, I would have, a month ahead, I would have said, let's go ahead and let the public know that the man was willing to come. After medical review, this is what the doctors have said, so you will not be able to come. Right. Then you make the public believe that you're not running away from justice.
Thank you, Elvis. Ibrahim, on the issue, we know that Mr. Ofori-Atta is in the Human Rights Court seeking some compensation because you involved, as Elvis has mentioned. Yeah. This issue of declaring him wanted, putting him on a wanted list, initiating processes to get an Interpol red notice. How much of a damage do you think the man will suffer reputationally, and how should he deal with it, as Elvis has just suggested?
Well, in terms of, let me answer the question this way, as best as I can. It was unnecessary. It was more playing to the gallery. I'm talking OSP. Right. You know, refugee status. Fugitive. Yeah, wanted. Yeah, fugitive. Thank you. Fugitive. Yeah. You know, it was unnecessary. That was such, as I say, playing to the gallery. The drama that was associated with that kind of communication by the OSP was totally unwarranted and unnecessary. Because you asked me earlier, you know, in terms of could they have done things differently? Yeah. And that is clearly a case where they could have done that. What it does, it detracts from the purpose of the investigation. What's the purpose of the investigation? SML. Elvis alluded to it, but didn't really scratch the surface very well. Right. SML, their contract was awarded without parliamentary approval, as stated in Section 33 of the Financial Management Act. So that was truncated. Secondly, you have, per the reports of the Fourth Estate, okay, payments of 1.5 billion, initially 1 billion and then 1.5 billion being paid to them. And SML saying that it's the reason for this large payment was risk reward, and that in fact revenues had gone up. But further, others will say that it was rather policy changes in taxes that led to the revenue increase, not rather their intervention. The flow meters, because their purpose, for those who don't know, SML were designed to make sure that the leakages within that petroleum sector, we could actually shut those leakages and retain revenue, increase revenue and profits. The flow meters were not even working properly, per the allegation. Right. Okay. Secondly, you have institutions such as the NPA, National Petroleum Authority, who effectively do the work that you said you're going to do. Right. Now, all of these reasons led to then President Akufo-Addo cancelling the contract, okay, and asking other parts to be renegotiated, which is why SML are still working or operating downstream, but in terms of upstream, minerals and other areas, they are banned or their contract is no longer valid in those areas.
Yeah.
So these are the things that I say Elvis alluded to, but he didn't scratch the surface well enough.
Yeah.
Because we have to ask those questions of SML, okay? And then if you want to see the Minister of Finance's role within those areas, then you have those, institutions to help you, as has been mentioned in Elvis's submission. If he's not coming personally, and he's given good reason, and I've alluded to the fact that over 3 years ago, you have a clear case of medical history. So OSP, look to these factors. Because you're having Imani giving you the Franklin Kujo, helping you with their investigation. Fourth Estate, also helping you with their particular investigations. I mean, you're having civil society groups separate to your own investigation, giving you certain intel, which is verifiable.
Yeah.
Was there parliamentary approval? The answer is no. Hansard is there. Okay. The revenue leaks, were there a case of SML's intervention, or were there other policy changes? Let's look at the pros and cons to answer or address that question.
Yeah.
Was the money warranted? 1.5 billion. These are the questions that OSP needs to hammer on. I'm just using that as an example. I know there are other areas, ECG, ambulance, and whatever, the National Cathedral. Hammer on those points and make your case, and then present it to court. So this thing is saying that you're a fugitive, it just see, because of that, how many people have actually gone into the issues and are aware, including journalists, and that's those of us who Google online, and saying these are the reasons. It doesn't come up in the commentary. Take any online publication, any what do you call it, media house within Ghana. Don't Google the issue, but Google those media houses, both online and traditional, and find out if they've educated us as to the core ingredients of the SML deal or the ambulance deal. The answer is no, to my understanding, fully. Because this, you're a wanted fugitive, has rather taken over the headlines and prevented maybe journalists from really exposing or fleshing out the issues for our consumption. So that's where the OSP has goofed with this drama. Give us the details, leave the drama alone. And Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, I said, I will avail myself to answer the questions, though I cannot be there. And I liked how Elvis mentioned. Said Nantamaklo was not in the country, still is not in the country. She is indeed a fugitive in every sense of the word.
She's been tried and convicted.
Tried and convicted. So you are a fugitive. You are escaping the law. So, and there was no drama. Just due process. She was invited, she failed, and it's done. Do the same for Ken Ofori-Atta, whereas the difference is he's saying, I'm available to answer your questions.
Right. Very well. Okay, final take on this OSP Ken matter, and then we'll move on to Chairman Wontumi.
Yeah, as I said, for me, the courts are there, and I think OSP should go to court and do this. Brian Mishuba, the SML, if you read it, it's clear where they went wrong, where things were not done well, and where things were done well. For instance, I talk about the parliamentary approval. That is what it is the audit firm that discovered
KPMG.
There was no parliamentary approval. But there are other lawyers who argue that particular they don't think requires a parliamentary approval.
And does the OSP need Ken's fiscal appearance to determine this?
These are the issues. You see, the VAT refund fund. They said monies that were there were misapplied. GRA, every money they issue out has trail as to who the money were issued to. So if you want to find out who benefited from the VAT refund account, the GRA has to provide. The GRAs you should be holding accountable to provide all the information about how the monies were taken out of, because they were in control of the account. Okay, so for me, I think that if you want to say because of parliamentary approval, not received, if you go to court and the SML lawyers argue, and your lawyers also argue, if the court says, yes, the deal requires a parliamentary approval, and it's a fact that it did not receive it, and this and that, if the court agrees with you, yes. If the court doesn't agree with you, the court has not agreed with you. As I said, the MCA thing, even videos were flying on social media, okay, that people said the man has come to them to collect whatever inducement he has given them because he lost and all that. About 3 years of prosecution, the court said no, the guy is not guilty, right? So for me, these issues that we are going back on, you see, I always said that if investigative bodies decide to do their work in the media, they risk a lot of reputational damage. Okay, the media want to hear it from the courts, that the courts has said this on this issue, the court has said that on this issue. But when it is about you, like battling with someone, and it's not court that is making some of this, sometimes it goes a long way to come back to hurt you, the institution. And as the OSP doesn't have a good record as we speak today, in terms of the purpose for which we set them up. So I think that they should be focusing on things that will give them results, so that the public will begin to have some confidence in them. Over 8-9 years of establishment, and if you are looking at OSP's achievement, is so insignificant that we spent so much money on this organization we established it till today. And if you are looking at how many successful prosecutions, and you compare to the police that we are not even giving them enough resources, CI that we don't even resource them like the OSP, and you look at the kind of convictions they have even secured, you ask yourself, is it worth it to have even the OSP to even continue to exist? So I think that is very important. And as I said, the Ofori-Atta family should be very mindful of the way they are going about this. In fact, if Data Bank was listed on the stock market in any country where the stock market is a measure of information, like probably maybe by now, the Data Bank would have collapsed. Because to declare the owner and founder of an organization as a fugitive running from justice in any place, if this was listed on any serious stock market, the shares will fall like mango falling from the tree to the ground. And the company will be in serious trouble. And as I said, the most credible investment bank in Ghana is Data Bank. So if the owner and founder is going through this, and this is the kind of media spectacle we are having about it, I think if the man and his family wants to protect his legacy of what he has done all his life, it's important that they take this issue very seriously. It's important they also look for people who can help them to do a good communication around this thing, because so far the communication has been so bad from the Ofori-Atta side of the divide.
Thank you, Elvis. Victor Kwajoga Daudi, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
It's a pleasure. Always being here.
Let's zoom straight into it, but I'll give you an opportunity to touch briefly on the passing of Chairman Adekoka.
It's a devastating news. I think that it was like nobody expected it. It was when he was not too well, about 2 years ago, that people felt, oh, he wasn't well. But he came back, he was okay. And I think the whole NDC family, the football fraternity and the rest, it was a shock to everybody. But what can you do when your maker calls you? You have to dutifully bow. I think that he's done his part. He served his nation very well. He served his party. He served the football. And I think that he has left some legacy. You know, from those days, football, Adekoka, then came in as the regional chairman and has been. I think he's done his part. And just that, as human beings, when it happens like this, we are always sad. Because losing somebody, I know with this new government, he was also trying to be penciled for some position or something. And it's been any time we meet, he says, my lawyer, you know. And he's one of the people who encourage you anytime. And you say, why are you sitting down? Why are you sitting down? Go and do the work. You know, he encourages you, he will push you, and he wants to bring the best out of you. You know, and you know, Adequika is somebody who will also tell you, don't sit down, don't be cheated. Go for it. It's your position. Go for it. He urges you. He brings out that in you. So it is sad for everybody when the news broke. I think that the whole party, everybody, especially Greater Accra, he did well. May he so rest in peace. I'm sure that the party and the nation should be able to organize a befitting burial for him and immortalize what he has done. I think he's done so much for the football fraternity, especially, and the party.
Very well. Now, you are a lawyer. From where you sit, what do you make of this OSP Ken Ofori-Atta issue? Is it mere media spectacle, the approach and everything, the back and forth between the lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta and the OSP?
I think that I associate myself with what Elvis have said so far. OSP has been an institution that the expectation for the institution was so high. People believed that this was a panacea to the issue of corruption. And whilst it will become like the feared ECC that we used, EFCC in Nigeria, where we had Rabidu, and the people, that's what everybody felt, that when it comes to corruption, but so far we haven't seen much. Or, you know, and the law says that they should publish what they have done, their achievement. I haven't seen any publication to tell me that there's been a major case that they've been able to break through, or this is what they have been able to retrieve. I think that it may not also augur too well for the OSP, because most of the issues are being run in the media. And you know, anytime it comes to the media is a bit polarized. They also put their own slant and embellishment on what happens. And I think for a former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, it will do him very well. He has a reputation. Once he has a reputation, a former minister of finance, he has institutions and the rest, and this is back and forth. And you know, the allegation is also that we have been seeing him all over in and around America. He was in a restaurant and others. That does not mean that he's not well. If he's not well, medical issue is very, very crucial, very important. And even our court recognizes that if somebody is not well, he must be allowed to seek medical attention. So I think it's the communication from his lawyers to him. And I've always been saying that, you know, I've realized something. I think we enjoy the politics of every issue more than the person who is even involved. They believe that the politics would, you know, the optics would cover the whole issue, or the main issue will fizzle out if we bring in the politics. But sometimes it doesn't play like that. You, the person, if you don't take time, you become the victim. You suffer. And I always tell people that the law in this country, it works. It works. It is just that sometimes you see different strokes for different folks. But once they decide, the law enforcement decide that they want to enforce the law, you'll be at the end of the wrong place. You'll be at the wrong place, because, you know, they look at faces, they look at people behind, but once the system decides that we want to enforce this law, that is, you realize that you will never have any favor with anybody when the system decides. And I think that this should be a matter that the OSP should look on it. If you want to declare him a fugitive, there are processes by which you can go. You have the power. You have some discretion. Do it. I think Ofori-Atta himself will serve himself and his relations good if he's able, through his lawyers, to communicate. I always say that, look, we are all human beings. It is rather a time you jaw. Go to the people and be able to sit down. No matter perceived enmity between political parties, I'm sure the politicians and people see themselves as the same people because they are endangered species. How many politicians we have in this whole country? The millions of people.
Yeah.
Because they suffer from the same thing.
Very well.
All of them. So I think that, yes, OSP should be. Let me just make a personal one when it comes to OSP and Iyoko. My personal view.
Right.
This is my personal, not about my party. My personal view is that OSP and Iyoko should be met. OSP, we don't have so much. Iyoko is all over the country.
Right.
And the resources. So if you are able to put the same job and which they do and they collaborate, I think that we will see more effective prosecution and effective retrieval of some amounts than once we have one single institution and now we come, this man says that, oh, this job is not within my confines, let me send it to another institution. While you put these two institutions together, I think it will be more efficient.
Well, Victor, thank you. You're watching Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne TV. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go into the issues of the MPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Chairman Wontumi, and his 50 million CD bill saga. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello again. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne Television. We're still having the news review segment. We're moving into another matter regarding the embattled NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman and also known as Chairman Wontumi. Elvis, I'll start with you on the issue of the 50 million CD bill, the protest by the minority, the intervention of the likes of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and all. We've heard in some quarters arguments or accusations that the NPP is politicking with the whole thing, with some individuals within the party actually using the unfortunate situation of Chairman Wontumi for campaigning ahead of 2028.
Oh, before I come to Wontumi, I think lawyer raised issue about Iyoko and OSP merging.
You support that?
I smart. No, in fact, you see, this country, I've told you that, you see, we try to run away from problems instead of solving them. We saw that there are inefficiencies in the prosecutorial system. Instead of first and say, where are the lapses? Let's fix them. We think creating more institutions will solve it. When OSP was to be created, and that's why politicians should be careful. When they promise something in manifesto, they think that at all costs it has to be implemented. Akufo-Addo promised OSP. When it was time to establish it, they were doing consultations. There was a public forum. And Iyoko made a point and said, look, the problems we have, Iyoko is not going to bring the solution. So for them, the best way they see, even if the government want to establish it, is for OSP to only be doing the prosecutions. And leave the investigation to the OSP, to Iyoko. Because the problem is that Iyoko, as it is, when they do every investigation, it is the AG that still has to do the prosecution. And they realize that a lot of delays are caused by the AG. So if you are going to establish something to bring some effectiveness, it is not about the investigation of the issue. That is Iyoko's position. That they have so many investigation files that will sit at the AG departments for years. And that if the OSP is rather made to be given that power to just do the prosecution, so that when they, Iyoko, do their work, then OSP will do the prosecution. Come and see the insult in this country to Iyoko. The NPP full soldier that I will never understand. Why are they trying to stampede the president from fulfilling a political promise? And they say they are trying to help the president to achieve efficiency. And that if you are going to give Iyoko the same mandate to also investigate and prosecute, the same challenges that the AG is facing is what the OSP is going to face. The OSP now, how many investigators do they have across Ghana? So the point Iyoko made at that time, if we had listened to them as a professional organization, and rather say, let's rather take Iyoko from the AG's department and rather put it under OSP. And say that Iyoko's investigation no longer goes to AG, but it should go to OSP. So OSP should have some crack lawyers who should focus on the prosecution. Add strengthen Iyoko to do the investigations. We will be having more convictions. Because a lot of investigations that have led to convictions were done by Iyoko. So you realize that we are listening to them at that time. We will not be here today questioning the OSP. The truth is that OSP will struggle to make any meaningful impact, not because there's a bad. It means that we have to staff them to have the numbers like the CID. But where is the money for the payroll?
Exactly.
Do you understand it? So when we are established institutions, we should listen to experts and professional bodies when they make their input. We are always focused on the partisanship of the thing. We promise it, we must do it at all costs the way we promise it. It doesn't deliver results. Wontumi, I said it, that this thing is to divert attention from the CJ's issue. Okay? This thing is just to divert, and I believe that the government is smiling, they're happy. Because now nobody talks about the CJ. They from minority walking to Yoko, this people walking to NIB, and the whole public attention is now on Wontumi. It's all to divert attention. Now, Ofori-Atta will come. Ofori-Atta is running away from OSP. Will come and take. Look, nobody can convince me that the information that is needed in case of anything regarding Wontumi cannot be gotten from him if they invite him to the Yoko or whatever institution from morning to 4 o'clock every day. Even if it is 1 month you want him to come every day, just let him know that we will be doing interrogation. We don't need to lock you up. We want information. So maybe every Monday, come here from 10 to 4. When you arrest the person and put him in cell, it's the same interrogation you are going to, information you are going to ask him, right? Questions you are going to ask him to answer you. Or are they going to torture him? I'm not sure that we are still torturing people in Ghana. It's the same questions you ask the person. So what stops investigative body from saying, look, this crude way of doing things, do me, I do you democracy, they've done it to my party people in the past, so I must also do it to them, which we have done all these years. We want to bring an end to it. Let's be civil in these things. We can still prosecute somebody and jail him in case the person has done the wrong thing. So long as the evidence on paper with us shows that the person has done something wrong. If we want to prosecute, we can prosecute. We don't need to lock the person up 2-3 days for it. We want to be spending almost 7 days in detention. For what? Just simply because you want to be asking questions about things you think he has been involved in. Asking questions, does it require locking people up? I think that we need to. It's not like a drug baron. You say if you don't arrest him, he's running away, or a terrorist who, if you don't arrest him, can cause some harm. Okay, you are talking about money laundering, and you don't even give the details of what it is. Those things that Jason has come to write on social media, I look at it and say, is this the way we want to actually do prosecution in this country? When we say fraud, lawyer is here. There are so many things that can constitute fraud. So what particular fraud did he commit?
Yeah. Did he scam somebody? What did he do?
Nobody knows the detail. Money laundering. I can send money to you. We do cross the border of Ghana, but it can be described as money laundering, depending upon how the thing goes about. So when you say money laundering, are you saying that Wontumi is being given some illegal money from abroad into the country, or is he doing something that is hiding money somewhere that you don't know, but the deputy AG find it necessary to come and put he's being investigated for money. What particular? What is it that he did that is about money laundering?
And this way of communicating via social media.
I just can't believe it that
statement.
We are just running the country at our whims and caprices. We don't see it that it's important that we do things in ways and manner that will make people believe and trust the system. We do things in a way and manner that will make people conclude that what we are doing is for political reasons. I think that there's no one in this country that said, unless the person is a wanted terrorist, that is on a wanted list for terrorism, okay, then you say this one, if we don't detain the person, something might happen. Then I expect, but none of Wontumi is not being charged for terrorism. No. It's not being charged for the kind of crime you say if you don't arrest the person can run away. Wontumi has assets in this country. You are investigating the person for owning Akuntan mine, which is into gold. Look at the price of gold. If you got this small gold right now, do you know how much money you make? Wontumi has assets in this country. He sat on television to say he has over 100 houses in Kumasi. If our system works, if Wontumi has 100 houses, with just a click at the Lands Commission, all the lands on which the buildings were put will be known that this all belong to Wontumi. So how come that we are thinking that that person, Wontumi, will run away and leave all his assets in Ghana? It's not somebody who doesn't have any assets. This one we know. Look at the string of media houses he owns. He owns mining company. He owns a construction company. He owns that. And we are saying that because of some investigation, he will abandon all this thing and run away from Ghana. And for that reason, we have to lock him up for 7 days. You see, some of this argument, it makes no sense. Nobody will arrest Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg in America and say they are locking him up. They know the guy has so much asset that leaving America is not his interest. So no matter what the issue, the guy will be home, case will file in court, whatever needs to be done will be done. So I think that we have to refine the way our investigative institutions do work. If they refine the way they do work, that is where confidence of public will begin to grow in them. But when you continue to do things like this, question is, for 7 days that you are detaining Wontumi, what exactly are you telling me? What questions are you asking to me for 7 days? There are people who are detained for these institutions and they are not asking any questions. They are just arrested and locked up. They just lock them. They won't ask them any question. They just lock them up until they feel like, let's release him. Then they release the person. This is how our security, they have become like terrorists, okay? And as I've said it, look, when you politicians use state security apparatus to threaten and harass the citizens, they should be careful. Because then when the same state security apparatus that you are using to harass the citizens now overthrow the politicians, then the same politicians who were using the security agents to threaten the citizens now run to the citizens and say, let's hit the road and demonstrate that these security agents should give power to politicians. These are the politicians who look at it though. You are using the system to threaten and harass the ordinary people.
Very well.
But then when the same security you are using to threaten and harass the ordinary people turn around and overthrow your government, then you now realize that you rather need the citizens who you are harassing now to go on the street to demand that the country should return to democracy. Politicians should be careful. I don't see how in this day and age it's not terrorism, it's not armed robbery, it's not something that is this is somebody who has so many assets in Ghana, which you should claim that this guy cannot run away and leave all his assets in Ghana simply because somebody says investigating. You can do this investigation. You can give one to me that, look, I need you for 1 month. Every day, 4 to 10, come to this institution. Let's investigate. And you see, the reason it's political is crude is this. CID invites him. And then he goes to the CID headquarters.
Yeah.
And by the time CID we have granted him, Iyoko is lurking at the gate. Gram, they arrest him. Iyoko carries him to Iyoko. Yeah. When people mass up there and they start, oh, now he's at NIB. And then this is what you realize. This should tell you that they are not really looking for anything meaningful. That is my conclusion.
Very well.
Because if you are looking for anything meaningful, I think that you can still get it without going through all these crude means of just teaching the person a lesson. And this is mostly about, we want to teach him a lesson.
Very well.
So let's teach him a lesson.
Thank you.
We cannot continue this way.
Thank you.
We don't build the country in this way.
Yeah.
Right. You speak to me about Chairman Wontumi and what has happened so far.
I can only echo what Elvis has said. And I would hope, for the third time, I would hope that politicians across the divide learn lessons, both NPP and the NDC. Because it has been said, even within our quarters, I'm talking NPP, that power doesn't last forever. The same, and the NDC said the same thing to us.
True.
At what point, this is, I'm dovetailing from what Elvis just submitted. At what point will we recognize that let's put the interest of the state first when we're dealing with persons who are politically exposed, and work in a manner that says that I'm working with clean hands. I'm talking the state. What has Chairman Wontumi done to warrant 7 days in the cells and the whole machinery? And let us be.
I think he's been there for 5.
It's coming. We were here in the studio last week. Minochi, we were here.
Yeah.
Myself, Elvis, and Chairman Sorogo, Ahmad Sorogo, and we talked about this issue that is going to.
Today is 7 days.
Yeah, today is 7 days.
He was arrested May 27th.
It was some Monday. Junior Honeuchi.
Monday you went to the CID.
Yes.
And he was
Until
arrested
Monday.
Tuesday.
He was arrested Tuesday.
So Tuesday he was arrested. From Tuesday to Monday, 7 days.
yeah.
Tuesday. You get me?
Tuesday to Monday, 7
So
days.
what warrants that? You have an allegation. The key thing that we've been made aware is money laundering. I understand. So go through the due processes. Because this, like I said, do me or do you. And I'm speaking both to NPP and NDC on this issue. Look, power changes. Some time ago, I was in power as my party, and Victor was on the other side. We met on Joy News some time ago. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They were in power then. I said, oh, Charlie, we'll kick you out. It came to pass. Lo and behold, now I'm sitting and he's sitting. I mean, it will change. Change is the only thing that's constant in this world. You know, it's such an anachronism. Change is the only thing that is constant. Having said that, the only thing that should drive our politics is the integrity of what we're doing. So to the NDC actors behind the scenes, and there are actors behind, we shouldn't sugarcoat it. And say, but you guys also did it. So where we did it and we're wrong, we have to change. Where you're doing it, you're wrong, you have to change. You have an issue, spell out the issue so that you can arrest him with all the necessary charges detailed, then he knows where he stands. I remember when Alfred Agbesi Wontumi, I'm not going back in history, he was on a 20 million Ghana cedis bail, okay, for the judgment debt.
54 million Ghana cedis that money is supposed to
Yes,
pay.
but the bail that was given was
20,
20 million at the time.
Yeah.
There was no detention, no house arrest. I'm not comparing, I'm just saying that I'm just using something that's comparable. A politically exposed person, I'm talking Alfred Agbesi Wontumi within the NDC, likewise Chairman Wontumi within the NPP. And in fact...
But for Wontumi, there were clear charges preferred against him.
Yeah. And in fact, this was even 2012, when his party was in power. Do you get me? I'm just using as an example, not to compare, that let us do things differently and better. So that moving forward, we won't go on a partisan route, but both sides will say, oh, you did this, and these are the charges, and let the courts determine the outcome. Because it will never end.
Yeah.
And for those who think that you're in power forever, it won't happen. And God willing, inshallah, when MPP comes, we won't be in power forever as well. So now is the time to put Ghana as the key winner of any issue that we have against a person of interest. Prosecute the person based upon the issues that have come to your attention. I'm talking the state. Because as Elvis has mentioned, God forbid, I pray it doesn't happen. I don't think it will happen. But he's just alerting our attention that should the unthinkable happen, I'm talking coup d'etat, suddenly we recognize the power of the people, we the politicians. We need to put a stop to it. If you have issues on Chairman Wontumi, clearly explain what it is, and let's move on from there.
Very well. Counsel, you are a lawyer.
Yes,
This is a matter of lengthy pre-detention, pre-trial detentions and all that.
Yes.
Are we just employing tactics to teach people a lesson?
No. I think that we are allowing the politics to override what the law has given. Wontumi is a victim of his own party activities.
Which are?
His political, the MPP, the activities surrounding what had happened during his arrest, and he himself, his activities. I will explain to you.
Please do.
You see, he was arrested, and the law says that within 48 hours. When he was arrested 48 hours, he was granted bail, and the conditions was what has to be met. Now, when they were not able to meet the conditions, right, there were two things they could do. Go back, because the person who is giving you the terms and conditions has discretion, can vary it. But what did we see to vary it? Or you go to court, and the court will say, yes, we've looked at the facts, we've looked at the amount involved they are talking about. Normally, none of the investigations or people giving that discretion will give you terms and conditions which will outweigh the amount that they are looking at, that they say it is involved. And we should remember that before all this one, every citizen is presumed to be innocent. Now, is it true that whilst Wontumi was going to the CID, you sometimes, I tell you, Ghanaians, they adore people who are rich there, but they don't like it to be front. And you see, when you are going to these investigative agencies and you adopt a belligerent position or to show that different strokes for different folks, they will also teach you and say, look, the law has given us some power to detain you. If you cooperate with me within the 48 hours, I can allow you to go. If you don't cooperate with me, I can go to court and keep you.
But he didn't cooperate with the CID.
No. CID, when he was going, what did you go with? I understand. Is the allegation, or is it true, that he went with a Bentley with a horde of people, crowd following him? The next day, I'm coming. The next day, you go. Wait. The next day, you go with a Ferrari, right?
Yeah.
To show off, and that is where one of the issues that how were these vehicles acquired? How were they cleared? That brings that dimension that was duty paid on this investigation. Now, within 48 hours, after 48 hours, you were granted bail. If the terms and conditions, that's why when you carefully listen to his lawyer, Apia Kubi, he went and he said that, yes, we are trying to meet the condition. We were not able. Now, whilst when they were supposed to meet the conditions, get the people, now they have filed in court for variation of their bail.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was the legal challenge. And the system says that, if you are against what I have done and you want to vary it, let's wait, let's go to court for the court to vary it. It's always about strategy.
Right.
Secondly, when his own party, the minority leader, comes in and said, if you don't vary it, we will not live here. You have to leave the man. But that is the law.
Yeah.
They are working within the law. And you are saying, so the people says, okay, we will not vary it. You says you sleep here, you will do all sorts of this, do it. We are not going to vary it.
If you fail to fulfill bail terms within 48 hours, do they still hold? Or they become void ab initio?
No. You see, once the bail condition has been set for you, it is either you go back to the same person and say, look, can you vary it down? The times. You have discussion with them. And I'm sure that was what the lawyers were trying to do with the top echelon of Yoko. But once they had filed and saying, challenging that your discretion has been misused, so it is the court, then they also decide that, okay, then let the court decide. That is why he has, although they have met the conditions, as we were told, that is why he's still in there.
Because they are waiting for the court.
For the court. They can still, I'm sure if they approach them, they can decide and say, it's a discretion. You can always do it. And if the lawyers write to say, we are withdrawing the application that we have filed, right? The other issue is also that whilst the party, I think that the former vice president and the flag bearer also went and wanted to go and meet, intervene, and also see Wontumi. You see, the arrangements and the conditions that they agreed to, they breached it. They breached it because, you see, reference was being made to when Koko Anyidoho was there and former President Mahama, when he was in opposition, he and about 2 people came to visit Koko Anyidoho. And the thing was quiet until a picture was even shown in the social media. But even that, Ambassador Rashid, who was then the NIB boss, was sacked. He was sacked. This one, it was agreed that, yes, we are giving you the honor that you have served this country, a former vice president of this country. Come with your entourage. Quietly, we will allow you to see. That was why he was moved from Yoko to NIB, a bigger space, so that you could see. But they breached it and they buzzed their people to the place. So you see, all these things, Wontumi is still languishing there because they have not been very strategic in doing in the approach. So it is not about this fault.
We have to leave it here. Yes. We have to leave it here. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Victor Kwajoga Adawulu. He's a member of the NDC's legal team and communications team. Elvis Daku, News Center newspaper, and Ibrahim J, former Assistant Secretary Office of the former President. I am Nanatu Boateng. This has been the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily. But do stay with us. There's a lot more coming up on the show.